blessed spring, where word and sign embrace us into Christ the vine. Here Christ enjoys each one to be a branch of this life-giving tree. The summer heat of youthful years, uncertain faith, rebellious tears, sustained by Christ infusing rain, the boughs will shout for joy again. And autumn cools and youth is cold, when limbs their heavy harvest hold. Then through us warm the Christ will move with gifts of beauty, wisdom, love. As winter comes, as winter must, we breathe our last return to dust. Still held in Christ, our souls take wing and trust the promise of the spring. Christ holy vine, Christ living tree, be praised for this blessed mystery. That word and water thus revive and join us to your tree of life.
A reading from Romans chapter 6. Therefore we've been buried with him by baptism and death, so that just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, so we too might walk in newness of life. For if we've been united with him in a death like his, we will certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his. We know that our old self was crucified with him, so that the body of sin might be destroyed, and we might no longer be enslaved to sin. For whoever has died is freed from sin. But if we have died with Christ, we believe we will also live with him. As a young seminarian, I found myself one hot fall August day standing on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania, inviting students who are coming to class for the first time for the semester to come and join the congregation for worship. Who knew what would come out of such an outreach, sweating as I was with a couple other people from the congregation. It was much to our delight and surprise when Anne and a couple of her friends showed up a few weeks later at the cathedral for worship. Along the way, we got to know Anne, found out that she came from across the country and grew up in Seattle. She was looking for community and to be part of something larger than merely the campus life. Along the way, we also discovered that Anne was new to church. Not just new to church, new to faith. And she had never been baptized. Over the course of the year, the pastors welcomed her to participate in the congregation's life. And on Easter Vigil, she was baptized. Celebrating Christ's death and resurrection that Easter morn and Anne's baptism calls us one to wonder what it means for our lives while we are living to be united with Christ's death and resurrection. More than just a promise for what happens at the end of our life, It is a promise that can inspire us as we are living our lives. For baptism truly is God's work, where God comes to initiate a new and renewed relationship with us that will endure. And the promise of our life going forward from baptism is no longer the certainty of death and taxes. It becomes dying and rising. For the truth is, death will eventually come to us all. And while we are living, the baptized, well, we get to do stuff together. Jesus feeds the hungry and heals the sick, and he invites his disciples to go and do likewise. Jesus tells the disciples that they are gifted to serve and that they are moved into the direction toward people, not expecting people to come to them. And in a baptized life, we get to do likewise. It's not required. The grace of our baptism is that you and I don't have to earn God's favor. It has already freely been given. Rather, baptism is an invitation about what we might get to do with the rest of our lives going forward. To love unconditionally, to invite generously, to celebrate together, to use what we have to meet the needs of others. I was in college when I realized how much I did have. While so often the narrative of college students is that we are poor and don't have much of our own, regardless of how much our parents might possess, I was leading a small group of youth, and we had gone out for lunch, and I realized once I got there, I was going to be buying lunch for all of them because their families and they themselves had no money of their own to afford this meal. I mean, who is so insensitive to insist those who have less pay for a meal that you invited them to? So this Lenten season, I invite you to consider how you will live into your baptism, trusting God, proclaiming Christ in word and deed, caring for the others in the world God made, and working for justice and peace as something that we get to do joyfully for God who initiated the relationship with us, and because God has told us that we are enough. Do not let it be a burden, dear ones, but as you are able and as the Spirit moves, may it be a joy to live into the dying and rising that Jesus makes possible. Amen.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know
God, to a town called Nazareth, to a woman whose name was Mary. The angel said to her, "Rejoice, O highly favored, for God is with you. You shall bear a child, and his name shall be Jesus, the chosen one of God Most High." And Mary said, "I am the servant of my God. I live to do your will." My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Great and mighty are you, O Holy One. Strong is your kindness evermore. How you favor the weak and lowly one, humbling the proud of heart. You have cast almighty down from their thrones, and uplifted the humble of heart. You have filled the hungry with wondrous things, and left the wealthy apart. Great and mighty are you, O faithful one. Strong is your justice, strong your love. As you promised to Sarah and Abraham, kindness forevermore. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. God of mercy, hold us in love. God of mercy, hold us in love.
In peace we pray to you.
God of mercy, hold us in love.
For peace and salvation we pray to you.
God of mercy, hold us in love. For peace between nations, for peace between peoples. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For us who are gathered to worship and praise you.
God of mercy, hold us in love.
For all of your servants who live out
watch on our loved ones and keep us from danger. God of mercy, hold us in love.
For all the beloved who rest in your memory,
God of mercy, hold us in love. Help us, comfort us all of our days. Keep us, hold us, gracious God. Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh. Shadows of the evening steal across the sky.
Jesus gave the weary calm and sweet repose. With your tenderest blessing, may our eyelids close.
Comfort every sufferer, watching late in pain, those who plan some evil from their sin restrain.
Through the long night watches, may your angels spread their bright wings above me, watching round my bed.
When the morning wakens, then may I arise, pure and fresh and sinless, in your holy eyes.
Glory to the Father, glory to the Son, and to the Spirit, while the ages run.
Let us bless our God.
Praise and thanks to you.